So I'm an 18-year-old college freshman-to-be, right? This past July, my friend Jessica threw this epic pool party in her backyard. It was more like a graduation bash, minus the parents, since they were out of town. Jessica's place is the go-to spot for hangouts, and this party was no exception. She invited like 100 people from our grade, and trust me, it got wild. From the early birds like me and my buddy Alex, who were there to lend a helping hand, to the crowd that gathered around the pool, things escalated quickly. Bathing suits, underwear jumps, and the classic poolside hangout. Jessica's backyard was packed. But here's where things took a turn. Random folks from who knows where started crashing the party, and Jessica wasn't having it. She even threw in a class group shot warning, "No more randoms or you're out." That slowed things down, but not for long. Around 1 a.m., the cops shut down the party due to noise complaints. Most people cleared out, leaving only a few close friends, including Jessica's girlfriends, Alex, myself, and a couple of other buddies. We ended up helping with the cleanup until it was just the four of us left, chilling in the living room. Then, out of nowhere, we heard this distinct crack from upstairs. Cue the suspenseful music. Jessica, being the brave soul, sent Alex and me on a mission to check it out. We ventured upstairs to find not much. Sarah, one of our friends, was knocked out in the guest room. We reported back to Jessica, thinking everything was cool. Fast forward to 3 a.m. Jessica and her friend Rachel crashed in her room. Alex dozed off on the couch, and I claimed the parents' bed. Suddenly, screams echoed from the next room. Two terrified girls, Jessica and Rachel, were huddled in the corner, and there he was, a tall figure on the opposite side of the room, staring right at me. I yelled at the girls to run, and they did, screaming about the man touching their feet. Sarah woke up too, and as we followed the girls downstairs, we hesitated. Looking back, we missed the chance to overpower the intruder. Outside, we called the police, realizing the man must have slipped out the back door. None of us recognized him, and it's still a chilling mystery. An older man, maybe someone Jessica knew, taking advantage of the post-party chaos, thinking she'd be alone. Scary stuff. In the spring of 1997, I returned home from my final day of school to unsettling news. My summer break would be spent on Uncle Jacob's farm, and to say I was disappointed would be an understatement. Instead of leisurely days at the beach, breathing in the salty ocean air, I found myself toiling away under the scorching sun. The idyllic scenes of sleeping in until noon and enjoying sugary cereal in front of the TV were replaced by the harsh reality of farm work. My friends were basking in poolside sun, while I struggled with sweat-soaked shirts and painful blisters from the relentless labor. Uncle Jacob, burdened by difficult times and the recent loss of Aunt Dars, had become a distant figure. The farm, once a source of pride, now lay neglected. Despite my initial resentment, I begrudgingly accepted my duty to assist him, recognizing the dire need for help. As the days passed, the rural boredom became insufferable, and I yearned for the freedom of lazy summer days. One rainy afternoon, granted a reprieve from chores, I explored Uncle Jacob's mysterious lock study. To my shock, I discovered wedding rings hidden in books and a collection of gruesome photographs depicting acts of brutality. The farm, once a place of discomfort, turned into a haunting nightmare. The revelations about Aunt Darcy's dark secrets left me conflicted, torn between the duty to family and the horrifying truth concealed in the farm's shadows. Uncle Jacob, worn down by the weight of his wife's crimes, eventually revealed the extent of Aunt Darcy's atrocities. The farm, once a sanctuary, became a macabre tale that haunted my thoughts for years. Uncle Jacob's health deteriorated, and the community's judgment led to the removal of his tombstone, leaving behind a complex legacy. Years later, as a content adult with my own family, the vivid memories of that unsettling summer still linger. Uncle Jacob's farm remains etched in my mind, a place where reality and nightmare intertwined, and the mirror revealed a dark reflection of a family's hidden secrets. When I was 12 years old, my parents decided to send me to spend the summer with my grandmother, who lived in a massive 2-story farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. Upon my arrival, my grandmother led me upstairs to a room at the end of the hall. Although I had hoped for a room downstairs, I was pleasantly surprised to find a room decked out with a television and a brand new Super Nintendo. The excitement of having my own gaming haven was beyond words. The first night in the old farmhouse was spent playing Super Mario All-Stars and downing an entire 12-pack of Mountain Dew. I stayed up so late that the sun was coming up when I finally passed out in my bed. My grandmother, working as a night manager at a nearby hotel, let me sleep through the day. When I woke, she was gone, but there was a note on the fridge informing me that she'd be back at 6 in the morning and that there was a plate of food in the microwave. I grabbed a couple of cans of Mountain Dew and carried my plate upstairs to continue playing Zelda, A Link to the Past. After a few hours, the combination of dark music in the game and the late hour started to get to me. I decided to head downstairs for more soda. However, as I made my way down the hall, I heard footsteps downstairs. Hoping it was my grandmother returning early, I rushed downstairs only to see what looked like an old woman rushing past the doorway to the kitchen. My heart raced as the figure moved unnaturally fast. Soon, I heard footsteps upstairs as well, along with mumbled voices having a conversation. Frozen in fear, I stood perfectly still, only to hear the stairs creaking behind me. Without thinking, I raced out of the front door, standing in the driveway catching my breath. Looking back at the house, I noticed most of the lights were on, and there was someone standing in my bedroom window. Unable to make out the face without my glasses, I sensed something was terribly wrong. I ran to the barn, flicking on fluorescent lights to reveal an almost translucent apparition slowly approaching me. As the lights went out, the figure pointed at me, and frozen with fear, I stumbled back, eventually escaping the barn. Later that night, my grandmother returned, dismissing my experience as an overactive imagination. However, the following night, the mumbled voices returned, and I had a terrifying nightmare that seemed to connect with the strange occurrences in the house. The events escalated with the appearance of a little girl in my room, resembling my sister from the dream, with a hunger that terrified me. In a panic, I fled through the window, encountering eerie figures and a relentless feeling that something was pursuing me. Eventually, I collapsed on a country road, and a police officer found me wandering barefoot. Despite my attempts to explain, nobody believed my story. Days later, my parents arrived, and I refused to go back to that haunted house. The mere thought of returning filled me with dread, and I left without retrieving my belongings, never setting foot in that farmhouse again.